First off, thanks for coming through and taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate that. But I have to let you guys know that nothing I say is financial advice, and I'm not responsible for any wins or losses you take while trading, and I am by no means a licensed financial advisor. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into this video. I realized a lot of people that are having issues with the indices model, or really with a lot of stuff whenever they learn, that you learn all these entry models and you learn order blocks and fair value gaps and all these price delivery arrays. But everybody, I swear, like people just sleep on premium and discount and don't really understand ranges and why price moves the way it does. So in this example, we have an old range, which was this right here. Now, if we look, what did price do? It moved back into a discount, and since price was still bullish, it moved rapidly away from it, right? Now, when we go back into a 15-minute, we see, what is this right here? It's that first price delivery array in a discount. Now, I'm not saying it has to bounce off the first price array. It could have went here, it could have went as order block, it could have went as this fair value gap. Now, all of that is considered internal liquidity because it's internal to this range that we were in. Whenever you're looking at price in the context of the higher time frames, for instance, like let's go back to the daily, that 1 hour bullish range was created after the daily sell side liquidity was taken. And that low taken was also responsible for taking the June lows. So a lot of stop losses have been absorbed here. So whenever you see a reaction like that, along with news, this was CPI day, then you can infer that we're probably going to make another move up. Again, it's moving in the context of that daily time frame. So now that we have that context, we see price in this. This is a good example of a range. We came down, we tapped into some internal liquidity. Also, you could look at this as an order block. Came into that fair value gap, internal liquidity to external liquidity, right? So, and before this high had been taken, we had this range, right? You could say before that it was this. Now, why aren't I, maybe moving my range up like this? I've seen people do this. Say, okay, that's a range. This is a range. And they look at every little pivot point. Whenever that's really kind of more or less your internal structure, and we're trying to identify where is the institutional sponsorship here. Where is price moving rapidly away from? In this example, we would have moved the range after external liquidity had been taken not once, but twice. Now, what was it moving into? Fair value gap. Once we see price show the desire to return back down, and how do we determine that? Well, we use the same thing we use for entry models. Now, that would have been more aggressive. You could have moved it here and it happened in the same candle, but we just look for that displacement, shift in market structure. So all that's telling us, just like whenever we're using it to enter in the lower time frames, and that's basically confirming whatever bias we have built, all this is telling us is that price wants to move to another area of liquidity because that's all price is ever doing. The only time price is moving is because it's moving to where there are orders. So if we know that we're in a premium and we have internal liquidity and a discount in a bullish range and price shifts down, we then know that we are looking for discount pricing. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you want access to the private Discord, use code CASPER, all caps, to start your free trial. That's where I provide my trade signals, teach my private classes, and you have access to one of the best trading communities out there. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my content, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up on any of my social medias. They are all down in the description with the link to Playbit. Have a great day, and remember, if you can't see the liquidity, then you are the liquidity.